Rentokil Initial is truly an international company. We have business units, multiple business units in multiple countries. We're present in Europe, North America, South America now, Asia, Pacific and Africa. We were running a change program internally, led by our CEO, and like many of the things we've been talking about today, it was to be a customer-focused change program to put the customer first. We're very good at our internal processes, but we actually wanted to change those into customer-facing processes. And our way of deploying against the design that we had there was to roll out pilots very quickly and improve the business case. One thing that we were missing within our organisation was the ability to support those pilots with KPI data to back up what we were learning or not learning along our journey. And we were actually having to use very manual processes to do this. So for one, we were looking for a tool to help us build that MI, those KPIs. Also, when we stood back and looked at how we were using our data, we actually have internal developers building reports for us, which is probably not the best use of their time. And the time for a customer to receive that data is literally months. It was taking a very long time from requesting the report to building it to testing it. And then you probably got your report and you couldn't remember why you'd asked for it in the first place. So a number of things put together there brought us to start looking into the marketplace for a new tool. We looked at the typical vendors around business objects, Cognos, Microsoft, etc., but they're in different physical data stores. And again, we were wondering, well, how on earth can we bolt this together at speed to return the investment? We completed a proof of concept initially, looking at that change program to support the pilots we were running there. Literally, that's produced in 5 days, actually. I think we turned that around, which was a very exciting return when we'd been working on looking at business objects and other tools previously around there. We then took on to pilot in our UK business, which was leading the change program, and we built out what we call operational dashboards. Now, not only were we trying to support the other elements of the change program and the systems we were deploying there with the KPIs, but we were also trying to allow our branch managers, our operational managers, to actually spend more time in front of the customer. What we saw straight away was the tool allowed our user to access all of the information they needed, and it's quite a wide stance of data that they're looking at from the field, so they could spend time coaching their teams, working with their teams in the field, but also in front of the customer, and less time, or as we saw it, unproductive time in the branch. From a training perspective, there was very little to do. In fact, probably I needed more training than anyone. What was fascinating for me was as soon as you put a branch manager in front of their data, they of course recognised their data, and with some very simple tuition they were able to click around, navigate and find the information they wanted to, and they were actually validating it for us quite naturally there on the spot. And quite simply we realised that benefit of allowing people to access data from the field. And something the business really brought forward, which I think took the BI tool even further into discovery, if you like, was a tab which actually led the user to their business rules and priorities. So they said, yes, you've got all this data on these other tabs about sales, about service, about debt, about customer contact, and that's fabulous stuff. But actually, if you go to your main dashboard, the most important thing to you today, this morning, as a technical manager, is that one of your technicians has signed in sick and was due to go to a customer visit. And actually, that's the #1 priority for you to respond to. And this was very easily brought in by building our own data store, which actually set the business priorities, looked up against the data, and then displayed them in priority order on the map. And one thing that helps us to do is standardise the way our management are working. It helps with training because the tool's actually giving them the priorities. So we can actually control that, change that based upon seasonalities in our year, based upon demands from customers. But it means that we've got the managers focusing on the right areas of the data. One example of this was we had a power user from the finance sector of our business who really just took to ClickView. This person went on to build our customer profitability dashboard. Again, everything just running off his own laptop. He'd taken his own data, no involvement from IT at all. This is simply, you type in a customer name or a sector and you see what the profitability is, what if we do this, what if we change the prices, what are the risks to this customer. And in a service-based industry, it gives you some true insight into what's going on with that customer.